Hello, everyone. My name is Deadrock, and welcome to Historical Trash Box, where we talk about history and trash this way. And today, we're going to be talking about the American Civil War. We might be able to sum this up in one episode, but I'm not too sure. But we'll go to that point. Today, I am partnered here with Sage. Say hi, Sage, or not. All right. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So the American Civil War, also known by other names that you could, whatever you refer the American Civil War to, you can name it that way, was a civil war in the United States from about 1861 to 1865, fought between the northern states loyal to the Union and the southern states that seceded to form the Confederate States of America. The principal cause of war was the status of slavery in the United States, especially territories. After Abraham Lincoln won the November 1860 presidential election on an anti-slavery platform, an initial 7 states declared their secession from the country to form the Confederacy. War broke out in April of 1861, with the secessionists' force attacking Fort Sumner in South Carolina. Just over just over after just over a month after Lincoln's inauguration. I need to learn the English. Okay, so just after a month after Lincoln's inauguration, an additional 4 slave states joined the Confederacy in the following 2 months. The Confederacy grew to control the majority of the territory of those 11 states, out of 34 states in February of 1861. And it claimed an additional states, Kentucky and Missouri, by assertion of the native secessionists fleeing the Union authority. These states were given full representation in the Confederate Congress through the Civil War. The 2 remaining slave states, Delaware and Maryland, were invited to join the Confederacy, but Delaware declined and Maryland also did, and actually even attacked them. So, Sage, would you like to say something before I continue?
No, not really.
All right.
All right. Crackle.
So the Confederacy was never diplomatically recognized as a joint entry into the government of the United States, nor that of any foreign country. The states that remained loyal to the United States were known as the Union. The Union and the Confederacy quickly raised volunteers and conscription armies that fought mostly in the South and for 4 years. Intense combat left 620,000 and 750,000 soldiers dead. Along with an undetermined number of civilians, along with a undetermined number of civilians. I'm just all over the place today. The Civil War remains one of the deadliest military conflicts in American history, and accounted for more military deaths than any other war combined, even the Vietnam War, which we will do a video on sooner or later. Alright, you want to say anything, Sage, before I continue?
Basically, Confederacy bad, Union good.
Well, as pretty much the case. I mean, some people don't think it's the opposite, but screw them. Alright, the war effectively ended on April 9th, 1865, when the Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant at the Battle Appomattox Courthouse. I think that's how you say it. Confederate generals through the southern states followed suit. The last surrender on land occurred on June 23rd of 1865. Much of the South's infrastructure was destroyed, especially the railroads. The Confederacy collapsed, slavery was abolished, and more than 4 million enslaved black people were free. The war-torn nation then entered into a Reconstruction era in a partially successful attempt to rebuild the country and grant civil rights to free slaves. The Civil War is one of the most studied and written about episodes in history and remains a subject of culture and historiographical debate. Of a particular interest of the cause of Civil War, a persistent myth of the lost cause of the Confederacy, the American Civil War is among the earliest industrial wars. Railroads, the telegraph, steamships, ironclad ships, and mass produced weapons were employed extensively. The mobilization of civilian factories, mines, shipyards, banks, transportation, and food supplies all foreshadowed the impact of industrialization in World War One and World War Two and subsequent conflicts, like the conflicts in the Cold War, Vietnam, even wars today, like out in Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan. But yeah, that I just summed up the Civil War just like that. Huh. Interesting. So Sage, you got anything to say before we go, actually?
I think it was. I'm mistaken. The American Revolution or the Civil War. I think there was like this one time where the Union, that the American Union, and this one general, I forgot, just stole a bunch of stuff from this guy's house.
Yeah, that was the surrender at Appomattox courthouse. That was where that guy was living. And they stole pretty much everything as a souvenir of we were here at the end of the war.
God, man.
I feel bad for him. And he couldn't get away from the war. See, he was out in Richmond and they started bombing his house. So they left for like a couple months, then came back, bombed again, and then they left to go to the courthouse, which was abandoned at the time.
Talk
But
about bad luck.
yeah. And also in the battle, also to mention a bit more of Abraham Lincoln's part in this. He never flat out said to the southern states that he wanted to take away their slaves, but he did want to preserve the Union. And he went with that faith all the way through his presidency, and when he gave the Gettysburg Address, which you guys can look up at home, uh, he basically just defined of what America should be. And I say in real life, like today, well, I mean, this is obviously all real life, but today, I feel like we did pretty good at of addressing the Gettysburg Address and helping other countries and our own country get back to the point where we should be. But yeah, in my opinion, this war was pretty bad. Just under 1 million people died, hundreds of thousands were injured. One of the deadliest conflicts in American history, and there were a lot of countries like Great Britain and France that didn't necessarily interfere, but they. Oh, hold on. Oh, damn, that was disgusting. They didn't necessarily interfere, but they threatened to interfere because, as you know, the not the South, no, the South. They often, well, their main source of profit was from cotton, and mainly what they would do, they would farm the cotton using slaves, and then they would ship them over to Europe and get a buttload of money. And there were a lot of and yeah, Great Britain and France and some other countries that were around the time, like the Dutch, Prussia, Spain. They all threatened to attack the Union, not the Confederacy, the Union, because they were preventing. Had a blockade, a naval blockade, stopping all exports from the Confederacy. But when I can't remember what caused them to step down from attacking the Union. I think it was just a major battle win by Ulysses S. Grant, who actually became a president a decade and a half later. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I was going to say something else, but I'm not too sure. Oh, there were many compromises leading up to the Civil War. So yeah, obviously had the Missouri Compromise, which that happened in 1850, which Missouri became a slave state. So the Union, or the northern states, decided, okay, you cannot have any more slave states above the bottom of Missouri. Which that game, if we were to stretch that out, we would get they would have they would have Oklahoma about two about half of New Mexico, about half of Arizona, and a little hint of California. So yeah, they would have that. That's all they would have. But yeah, there was a lot of compromises, a lot of horrible things that happened in the Supreme Court, like Sumner and that other guy. I don't know, but there was a guy that just got damn caned. Yeah,
Oh
we
yeah,
were
he got
me and
caned in the
Sage
court.
remember hearing that one in
God,
our history class about a year ago.
God, man, imagine getting beat up in the middle of a court case. God.
Yeah, apparently he
Oh
was
no.
like cracking jokes about him, like, "Oh, your wife's ugly and crap." And but seriously, you beat the hell out of him to the point where you broke your pure wood cane. I mean, calm
Oh,
down,
God.
my man. I mean, look, I know there's a lot of tension, but uh, you just don't do those things.
All
But
right, I'm gonna say my joke before we end off this video.
okay.
British people when they don't get their cotton. Oi, mate, where'd my cotton go? Oi, mate, my tea.
That's funny. I'm sorry, British viewers, if we have any of those. According to YouTube, we all of our viewers in the United States, but I don't know.
British people hate us anyways.
Yeah, they hate America, even though we keep
That's
giving
because
them
they lost their
stuff.
island, mate. They lost their island to a spot of tea, mate.
Okay, we're just offending the entirety of Great Britain.
Good, we're gonna start the American Revolution 2.0. Just a bunch of kids, just a bunch of kids just making fun of Britain.
Yep, imagine if we caused that. Again,
I'll
sorry,
be, I'll
fella.
be laughing.
But yeah, that's the end of the episode of the American Civil War. So I love you all. Have a good day and check out our social media, which should be in the description below or on our about page. So go check that out. So once again, I love you all and have a good day.